So guys, Malgus has been a big problem in the meta. He's one of the highest holding teams. Regardless of what people say, every ground arena season, this guy is an absolute menace. Typically, people are just going to set Malgus on defense, and you either have Cal or you don't have Cal. And if you don't have Cal, you're normally going to have people just throw C or throw Galactic Legend into Malgus, right? That's kind of what his role has been. Now, for those of you who have been following the channel for a while, like the last year or so, you're going to know that I never really do that. I actually use other teams to deal with Malgus, notably Dash and youg, right? And really the benefit of being able to do this is you completely throw off your opponent's defensive strategy. Because the second you remove something they planned for, you're just going to dominate them. And if you want to know more about defensive strategies and how to plan defenses, then check out the video that should come up on the screen now, right? Right, guys, so we're talking about 3v3 here. The reason I'm giving you guys this at the end of the last 3v3 cycle is because it gives you a month. If you watch this video and you're like, okay, I like this idea, let's try and work this out, it's going to give you, a month to prepare the teams. It's 3 characters needed, and you can beat every Malgus lineup out there. Right, guys, so you're going to see in the back, there's going to be lots of footage playing. I've actually included some losses. So I've faced Malgus, I think, 10 times in the last 2 months. And out of those 10 times, we've actually used youg. Well, this is how many times we've used youg, sorry. We're using 10 times. And out of those 10 times, we've won 7. We timed out twice, and I lost 1. So 70% success rate. However, once I clocked on to the strategy, things went a little bit better. Now, before we start talking about how to do it, I want to kind of talk about why it works. So guys, the thing with Malgus, and the one weakness of Malgus, and why he's so much better in 5s than he's in 3s, his team has no damage. So now some of you have been saying, but Glurmit, Malgus has the big hit, and it's like, yeah, he does. But here's the thing, guys, that big hit is just 1 turn. If you can find a way to mitigate that risk in the opening turn, Malgus doesn't do a lot of damage. Now, obviously, you can set Malgus the Arbastler, but what you'll see in the footage is that, surprisingly, they just die off too quick. There's no meat in the bones, or whatever you want to say, right? Whereas if you set Malik, this won't work. So if you guys want to know how to stop this, you set Malik. Malik will shut this down. Malik will also kind of force the GL, like a lot of people want, but that's higher investment. So typically you're going to be going up against the Malgus, Marauder, Sith Assassin, Malgus, Marauder, Sith Empire Trooper, Malgus, Marauder, Talon, anyone with Talon, Marauder, any of them, you can max banner easily. This is a max banner counter, guys. Like, when you do this counter, you will always max banner because of the way it works. And that's because of the protection recovery, the health recovery. You'll always be max banners if you do win, which is really, really nice. So guys, in terms of why it's actually working, we need to take a look at the Smuggler faction, and we really need to understand the kits and how they interact with each other. So the first thing to note is you will need Dash, Rendar's Omicron here, guys, and that is going to be basically reapplying Prepared as soon as Prepared is lost. Now, if you don't have this, it becomes really tricky because Vandal would have to regen his protection, and it requires specific modding, and youg would have to hit people below certain turn meters. It will just become too difficult to do. Now, having the Omicron allows Vandal or Chewie to actually revive everyone when he's prepared, and you have your Zeta, when a prepared ally who's light side, note the light side here, guys, that's why we don't run Hondo, dies, they're going to revive, right? And that's kind of the play here. Now, Dash is also going to be giving a bunch of crit damage up, he's also going to be giving offense up, he's also going to be giving extra crit damage to the team for youg. He's going to be giving himself speed and potency. He's going to be giving Vandal 15% health, which is really nice, really good bonuses. Now guys, the unique is also going to be giving you a bit of turn meter, but just bear in mind if you have shock or if you have doubt, that isn't really going to apply here, which happens a lot. But it's still nice to have. Once you kind of get through the sides and you're just a Malgus, you kind of just turn meter train him. Now in terms of Vandal Chewie, guys, he is needed at higher relics. I would say you won't be able to do this with a Gear 12 Vandal, that's for sure. I would say Relic 5 minimum. If you want to be beating the good ones, Relic 7, 8, or 9. If you want to be going up against like the ones you see in high Kyber, like End of Kyber 2, Kyber 1, then you're probably going Relic 8 or 9 Vandal. I know it's expensive, but he's not bad to have at these relics. You probably can do it with Relic 7, but it becomes easier as you take him up. which is what I've found. Since I've Relic 9'd my Vandor here, things have been a lot smoother. So he's working because he, for starters, guys, is actually going to be reducing the damage incoming to you. So while he is alive and has a buff, all damage enemies deal is reduced by 25%. Just flat damage is just removed, right? Which is really nice. And then his unique is obviously going to be giving him counter chance when he's buffed, which is really nice for getting assists with Young Han. And then it's also got the protection recovery and all of that, but we don't need that. Because if you're using the Grit Cron, which I do at the moment, I know it's leaving, so I'll be talking about that at the end of the video. But if you use that, then it won't apply. His basic ignores defense, doesn't really matter. And his special gives protection up, so that's very important to talk about. Now guys, so for Young Han, we have some important stuff here. So his basic inflicts speed down, which can be really frustrating. Because if it inflicts speed down, it's actually going to be juicing the health on Malgus, and it can cause timeouts. So you need to be a bit careful there. The upper hand, or roll of the dice as I like to call it, is going to give you 100% protection up, retribution, and it gives him speed stacking up to 200. So after 4 rolls of the dice, you're at 200 additional speed. So if you can aim to get Young Han, really minimum 200 to 250 speed, then you're going to come out of this and you're going to be at 400 to 450 speed during the battle, which is so important towards the end. We then have his just in time, which if there's a prepared ally for each other one, not including Young Han, he's going to deal 25% more damage, which is really nice. It's also protection recovery, but obviously if you're using the Grit Cron, so that doesn't really apply. And then we have his ready for anything. This is why it works, guys. Whenever he starts a turn with protection up, he gains 10% offense and 10% crit chance stacking until the end of the battle. Now, because of the way this works, guys, it's not based on his protection or offense or whatever at the beginning of the battle. Is based stacking continuously. So if you was to start with 10,000 offense, guys, and you did 1 turn, you're then going to be 11,000, and then you take a second turn and you're all of a sudden at 12,100, and on the third turn you're at 13,300. And you guys can see how the stacking offense really does ramp. And once you've taken 10 to 15 turns, you're just so high on offense, you'll one-shot everyone. That's kind of the way this works. Now, issues that can arise. Malgus does apply doubt. He does apply shock, he does apply fear, and all of these things do cause issues because they prevent you from gaining buffs, which means Young Han can't ramp. If he can't ramp, and if you go into the battle and he does not ramp once, that's starting a turn of protection up, within the first 3 minutes you're likely going to time out. You'll kill the side, so it's easy cleanup, but you'll likely time out. So to get around this, the first thing is making sure you have the correct relic levels. Now I have the whole faction, or not the whole faction, but I have the whole smuggler team, the prepared team, at relic 9. You do not need this, guys. That's more of a flex YouTube things, right? No, in all reality, guys, if you were to take Young Han to relic 5 for the Young Han special mission, and I'll actually add it up with my mods and I'll show you guys the stats we'll be looking at, or similar. Obviously my mod set's very good, but you wouldn't have to necessarily use this one. But if we was to use this one, he would gain the 52.45, and then, oh sorry guys, I just added that up completely wrong. 5299 times 1.52, roughly 8,000, and then you'd add on the additional offense that I've got on the doing, which is 279. Okay, that would give you 8,300 offense, a lot lower than what I have. Obviously at R9, I think I have the #1 offense in the world. I currently have, I think, almost 11,000, something like that. Yes, I have 11,300. I would say for this to consistently work against the good Malgus lineups, you're going to need around about 9 to 10,000 offense. I would think that's a good amount to have, which does require good mods. But if you're someone who just wants to take him to R5, just slap on and make sure he has an offense triangle, an offense on the arrow, triangle, and the cross, right? And then you're going to go health primary on a circle, and that's it. Good offense secondaries if you can. And what you're going to do is just throw them against the weaker ones. You'll win no problem. Now, if you want to make this even easier, guys, when there's a set come out, like the last set, or maybe the next set, who knows, even this one with the crit damage, if there's crit damage or offense, apply them. Just get a cron, as much crit damage and much offense as you can. It's going to be enough to tide you over. Right, guys, so we've kind of broken down the modding for Young. Like I said, Relic 5 for the lower tier ones, Relic 7, Relic 8 will more or less get you through the higher end ones. Relic 9 doesn't really make much of a difference to offense stats anyway. Now, in terms of dash, guys, you don't need him at high relics. Relic 5 is fine. I used to do this with Relic 5 dash for a long time. The relics is not a problem. For dash, it's just having the speed needed to get through the battle. And then for Vandal, like I said, higher relics the better because he can die. It's only happened for me once, but if he dies, the counter's over. So I like to suggest Relic 7 at a minimum, but Relic 5 will do. I think I did it with Relic 5 almost a year ago, so it can work. So that's kind of the plan for relics, for mods, all of that fun stuff. Right, guys, so how does the counter actually work? Like, what do we actually need to do to make this counter work? So when you load into the battle, Malgus can do his big hit. Normally it's on Young with dash, right? And if they don't die, that's okay, but you would rather them just get one-shotted. Because if they die and come back, the doubt is dispelled, which means you can actually get away with starting the ramping early, which actually sometimes happens to me, which is really, really nice. And basically, it comes down to 3 or 4 things. The first is do not auto. Do not auto, guys, because the AI is stupid. So Dash has 2 abilities here that you want to use. The first is his Dispel, and the second is his AoE Daze, right? Now, you want to AoE Daze whenever it's off cooldown. Now, you might be saying, but Glurmit, Malgus is going to heal. That's true, but the defense down is what allows you to beat him. Because even if it's a very high defense Malgus, when he has the defense down, you're going to ramp enough to kill him. So use this whenever you can. You're then going to use the special, the stun. Initially, you're going to use this just to remove taunt so you can go through the sides, right? Now, if you've already taken them out, which will happen, you're actually going to use it whenever Malgus gains protection up, which is on his big hit. Not when he taunts, when he gains protection up. And that will be enough to get through him. So those are kind of the 2 rules for Dash. Now, in terms of Young and what he's going to do, it's very simple, guys. You're just going to keep on hitting his roll the dice. Every single time he takes a turn, roll the dice. Even if he has shock, roll the dice for the first 4 times. After you've done it 4 times, you are no longer going to roll the dice, and you're only going to do it when you don't have shock. And the reason you're doing this is you want to get the speed so you take the turns, but then you don't want to be wasting it. Once you got to the 200 extra speed, the 4 rolls of the dice, you're free to only use it when you don't have shock, and you gain the protection up, and you gain the 10% offense stacking the following turn. That's kind of the plan for Young. After that, his big hit, you can use it on the sides just to deal damage. It does do a lot of damage, but when it comes to Malgus, you're only ever going to use it when Malgus has defense down and no protection up. That's the way to get through him, guys. Now, in terms of Vandal, very similar. He's a little bit weird at the moment because he has got the Wookiee Cron that I've been using. I think it's actually going to be a little bit easier without, because one of the problems you're going to find is Vandal's kit, whilst he benefits from having little to no protection, he still has a protection regen recovery into his kit. Whenever another ally is attacked, Vandal recovers protection. If he recovers to prepared, like to full protection, he gains prepared or whatever. That's how it works. But obviously, we're not bothered about that. But what I've found is sometimes he just gets whittled down because he doesn't have that built-in protection recovery system. So it's going to be quite nice once the Cron's left. So I'm actually going to transition towards using a high crit damage Cron from the current set with the crit damage offense up basic, which will be really, really nice. Now in terms of Vandal, just mod him as high health, and you're just going to use his special, again, on Malgus when he has defense down, or you're going to use it on Young when he does not have shock or doubt. Because if he doesn't have those, you can also give the protection up and you can ramp. And honestly, guys, if you do this, you'll be fine. Like, I can't believe it. I've beaten for max banners Malgus DR Bastler. I've beaten Malgus with Sith Empire Trooper and Talon and Marauder. But if anyone sets the Talon Marauder, Talon Sith Empire Trooper, any of those ones with Talon or Marauder in there, really, then you're going to have max banners easily. And that's when you can do this with lower relics. Now, some of you will be watching this, and some of you are obviously never going to do it. I understand that. Some of you may. Like I said, if you're going to invest in Young for the special mission for TV, which you should, then why not give this counter a go? You have a month after watching this video to consider it. And I really do think it's worth it. Like I said, guys, I've done this 7 out of 10 times. Obviously, I have very good mods on, but I've done it enough now to be able to tell you guys that it will work, especially at lower relics against the worst Malguses. Maybe you're in a Rhodium. Maybe you're in the low ends of Kyber, and you just need that Malgus counter. You don't have Jedi Cow. This is the way forward, guys. And by doing this, you're only going to improve your GAC results, because if you can throw people off and make it past a team that they hadn't accounted for you using, all of a sudden you're going to see a lot of success. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Glurmit, and as always, guys, have a Glurmin day.